I'm Teacher Debbie. Today I'll be going through a multiple choice question and an open-ended question on the topic of human body systems. Let's start. Question 1. Study the classification chart below carefully. The question is asking which of the following is best represented by letters A, B, C, and D. To answer this question, let's first examine the classification chart. The human body system is organized into 4 systems: the digestive, respiratory, circulatory, and skeletal system, each with its respective parts. First, let's look at the digestive system. Can you recall what is the function of the digestive system? The digestive system breaks down food into nutrients that body can absorb and use for energy, growth, and repair. From the diagram, the small intestine and stomach are listed as organs under the digestive system. Do you know what other organs made up the digestive system that could be labeled as A? They include the mouth, gullet, large intestine, and anus. Let's move on to the next system, the respiratory system. Can you recall what is the function of the respiratory system? The respiratory system takes in oxygen to be used by the body and removes carbon dioxide from the body. From the diagram, the lungs and windpipe are listed as organs under the respiratory system. Do you know what other organs made up the respiratory system that could be labeled as B? They include the nose, air tubes, air sacs, and diaphragm. Let's move on to the next system, the circulatory system. Can you recall what is the function of the circulatory system? The circulatory system transports oxygen, digested food, nutrients, and water to different parts of the body, and also transport waste materials away. From the diagram, blood and blood vessels are listed as organs under the circulatory system. Do you know what other organs made up the circulatory system that could be labeled as C? They include the heart. Let's move on to the last system, the skeletal system. Can you recall what is the function of the skeletal system? The skeletal system supports the body and gives it shape, also protecting delicate organs. From the diagram, skull and backbone are listed as organs under the skeletal system. Do you know what other organs made up the skeletal system that could be labeled as D? They include the rest of the 206 bones in the body, including the ribs. Now that we have listed all the possible organs, let's review the options together to answer the question. First, let's consider the choices we have for organ A. Based on our list, the large intestine, mouth, and gullet are possible organs, while option 4, the heart, is not. Next, let's consider the choices we have for organ B. Only the nose is the possible organ, while option 1 and 4, the gullet and the mouth, are not. Now, let's consider the choices we have for organ C. Only the heart is the possible organ, while option 1, 3, and 4, the rib cage, muscles, and nose are not. With this, we can narrow our answer down to option 2. However, let's confirm this by looking at the choices we have for organ D. Based on our list, only the rib cage is the possible organ, while option 1, 3, and 4, muscles, large intestine, and mouth are not. Therefore, the correct answer will be option 2. Next, let's go through an open-ended question. Question 2A. Read the statements about the human digestive system carefully. Write T for true or F for false for each statement. Let's examine the first statement. Digestion starts in the stomach. We know that digestion does occur in the stomach, but does it really start there? No, it doesn't. So where does digestion begin? In the mouth. The saliva in our mouth starts breaking down food into simpler substances because it contains digestive juices. Therefore, this statement is false. Let's examine the second statement. Digestion does not take place in the large intestine. Can you recall at which organ would digestion end? The small intestine. Digestion is completed in the small intestine. So what is the function of the large intestine? The large intestine's main role is to absorb water and mineral salts. Therefore, this statement is true. Let's examine the third statement. Saliva makes the food soft so that it is easy to swallow. Can you remember what are the functions of saliva? Saliva helps to make the food wet and soft, making it easier to swallow. It also contains digestive juices that begin breaking down food into simpler substances as mentioned in the first statement above. Therefore, this statement is true. Let's examine the last statement. Digested food is passed through the walls of the large intestine into the blood and carried to all parts of the body. We know digestion is completed in the small intestine. Does the digested food pass through the wall of the large intestine? No, it actually passes through the lining of the small intestine and enters the blood to be carried to all parts of the body. Therefore, this statement is false. Let's move on to question 2b. The diagram below shows a pair of scissors used to cut paper. Which organ in the digestive system has the similar function as a pair of scissors? Give a reason to your answer. Before we answer the question, let's list down the main organs in the digestive system. The mouth, gullet, stomach, small intestine, large intestine, and anus. Each of these organs play a crucial role in the process. Now, what do we use a pair of scissors for? From the question, it states that it is used to cut paper. From the diagram, we can see that the scissors is used to cut the paper into smaller pieces. Similarly, which organ breaks down food into smaller pieces? The mouth. Specifically, the teeth performs this function by chewing food into smaller pieces. So, let's phrase our answer for this question. The mouth. The pair of scissors cuts paper into smaller strips, just like the teeth in the mouth that chews on food to turn it into smaller pieces. Let's move on to the last part of question 2, part C. Charlene carried out an experiment to find out how the size of bread affects the rate of digestion. She put some bread into each setup as shown below. Based on the experiment, what is the relationship between the size of bread and the rate of digestion? To answer this question, let's first examine what is this experiment about. Let's take a look at the table with the results recorded. We have two setups, A and B, with the same amount of bread at the start of the experiment at 100 grams. However, the amount of bread at the end of the experiment in setup A is much lower compared to setup B. Setup A is left with 30 grams, while setup B is left with 70 grams. So what is the difference between the two setups? Let's take a look at the diagram. Both setup A and B have 300 ml of digestive juices. Can you recall what is the function of digestive juices? It is to break down food into simpler substances. What about the bread in the setup? Are there any differences? Yes, the bread in setup A is cut into smaller pieces, while setup B have a whole slice of bread. So what can we conclude from this experiment? We can conclude that with smaller pieces of bread, it will be broken down faster by the digestive juices as smaller pieces increase the surface area of food that digestive juices can act on. Therefore, the amount of bread at the end of experiment in setup A is much lower compared to setup B. The question is asking, based on her experiment, what is the relationship between the size of the bread and the rate of digestion? Whenever a relationship question is asked, it requires us to identify the link between two variables. So what is the first variable here? The size of the bread. The second variable, the rate of digestion. So when we phrase our answer, we need to provide how one variable affects another variable. So how do we phrase our answer for this question? Let's start with the first variable. The smaller the size of the bread, followed by the second variable, the faster the rate of digestion. We hope you enjoyed this video and find it helpful. Please give us a like and click subscribe to our channel for more useful science content. Thank you, and I will see you next time.